Welcome to today's webinar, which is on student digital competence. And believe it or not, this is our second last webinar of the series for the year. So we've had a fantastic run. We've had amazing schools. And today is going to be the best of all, I can tell already. So we've already been chatting to our two schools that are presenting today. And they are St. Joseph's School, that's based in North Dublin. And there we have Alison and Leah giving you a big wave. And we also have the Deputy Principal from St. Joseph's, who's Darren Byrne. So this is a phenomenal school. They were awarded back in November 2023. They have done phenomenal work, and Darren has been a regular presenter, and we owe the school such gratitude for sharing all of the best practice that they have been doing over the past number of years, and their journey continues to grow. So we're really delighted to have Alison and Leah, who are going to talk to us, and Darren about what they're doing to support the student voice and student digital competence. In addition, we have St. Patrick's Primary School, and we have some fantastic students there, Lucy, Flynn, Jude and Luca, and they are joined with head teacher, Mrs. May. And this school is based in South Ayrshire in Scotland. And I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. We're going to hear from the pupils because they are members of the student digital learning team. They are 4 pupils out of 13 that have volunteered to take part to be part of the Digital Schools Awards team that are going forward for their award. So this school hasn't yet achieved it, but you're going to hear from these pupils how they are contributing and leading on their application. And I think that's going to be really interesting for everybody who potentially is also on their journey to see how pupils can really take a very strong leadership role in that. So without further ado, then I'm going to hand over to Leah, Alison and Darren, and they'll talk to us about what they're doing in their school.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to share a screen to get a presentation up. So, okay, now I am going to go through these relatively quickly because obviously it's more important for everyone to hear the student voices today. So, what I've done is I've created a presentation. I'll share a link to it so that people can get an idea of who we are. Context-wise, so I'm going to discuss the school context, how we use Selfie, and then some of the interventions for building student digital competence. Then Alison and Lee are going to talk about their experience. We're going to show a short 4-minute video made by Raspberry Pi about the project, and then they can discuss specifically. So we are a voluntary secondary school under the TESH patronage. We're a Catholic school. We are of DESH, delivering equality in schools. So it's an area of socioeconomic disadvantage. We have 948 students. We're an iPad school, a one-to-one school, so every student has a device, every teacher has a device. Within our college going awareness, we are a CFES and a TA 21, that's Trinity Access and School Distinction. And in 2023, we got the British, the BT Young Scientist Award for Best School in Ireland. And that's a particular thing that we're very, very proud of. So within Selfie, obviously, we've completed several sessions of it. We're actually doing another session this week. We used session 1 to establish our baselines last year. And session 3 then our comparison to look at investigating impact and to identify long-term targets. So we've used our Selfie to identify our school self-evaluation targets. As a DESH school, we have to call it DESH planning, but realistically for everyone else, it's school self-evaluation. We've made very specific targets on how to build and how to introduce and develop student digital competence. But what I really want to focus on actually is how we identify with parents of students. So every school has interventions that they're starting to put in place or have been doing for a long time to build competence within students. But very often there's a gap at home for the parents. So that cultural capital, that social capital that the students are coming from isn't developed. So we have 2 programs in particular that I'm going to quickly go through, one of which, this one, Pedal. So that's a program to enhance digital learning. This is in partnership with Trinity College. Alison's father actually helped deliver this. So instead of staff members delivering to parents of incoming first years, So parents who have prospective students that are coming the next year, instead of teachers and staff, we got one of our secretaries and one of our parents to help. And it gave them an idea of what we use, our digital platforms, the software we use, how to use the iPads, but also it just put their mind at ease about that transition period from their students coming from a primary school into a whole new setting at secondary school. And I thought it was really important to put up like that comment that came in after day one from a parent. Like, that's the email. I just want to say a big thank you. You know, it was how all of their fears were put to bed by how welcoming our community was and how other parents in our town were already familiar with these. So people have been through it. And if we can help you develop, then you can support your students. So again, I'll make sure this slideshow is available to everybody. Another version then that we're using is for Parents Plus. So as a DESH school, as a school working in socioeconomic disadvantage, there are parents who need extra support. So what we're starting is on Wednesday, I'm meeting with parents myself and getting them to bring in their child's iPad and showing them how to actually set it up. So it's through the homeschool liaison. And when I say set it up, I mean personalize it. We're all familiar with you take a device out of the box and you start using it. And we realized that's what most of our families were doing. They didn't know about changing visibility settings. They didn't know about changing light settings, about text. They didn't know how to set voice to text. So we're having interventions with parents that they can then bring that home and advise their child on how to use the device and how to access their learning from the home. So again, I can show that at another stage. I can share more info. It's all available on our digital learning plan, and I've made that available to Anna and the team. For us now, we have got a vision now of becoming one of the leading STEM schools nationally in Ireland. That's where we're looking. We're very much into building these skills, our digital skills, but also creative thinking, collaborative work, inquiry-based learning. And a few years ago, we started focusing on competitions and entering competitions to give our young people access to it. And BT Young Scientist is obviously the biggest one in Ireland. In 2018, we had one person, our first ever person, qualify for the finals. And in 2023, we won the best school in Ireland. That was the turning point. That's not down to teachers. That's down to culture. Like, that's teachers, parents, leadership, students. It's the experience. It's the motivation, that intrinsic motivation to participate. And it's students like Leah and Alison that you're going to hear from in a few minutes. It's their experience that are really important more than mine. It's their experience of going through those competitions. Good. So I wanted to show very quickly 2 examples of this year. So we had one student use AI and computer thinking to create a medical program that will actually identify through radiolucencies problems for dentistry and for medical practice. And there's a website for actually doing it. It identifies and uses model train to classify the type of issue and type of disease that's actually there. And we had a student work through brain tumors with the same kind of thing. She used all of her coding skills, all the digital skills she's learned. These are both in 3rd year as well. So they're both around 15 years old to 16 years old. And she created a program to help medical professionals identify the type of tumor that they're looking at in the photo. So it reduces the likelihood of misdiagnosis. That's the kind of things that students can actually do once they're confident. Like, they'll go away and they'll do something that you could never imagine. I can't go into detail with you because I can't honestly understand the project. It's so advanced. This is a 3rd year student. Now, the Raspberry Pi video is, I think, very important for me to actually let play. So that's why I've went through as quick as I can, is to let this video play. It gives you a context, and then it will allow the girls to elaborate on their experience.
Something we have coded ourselves is going to space. That's huge. That's something every kid has dreamed of, to go to space. And to get that chance in real life at such a young age, it was like, oh my God, this is something that's going to change everything.
We're very rural, so we're North County Dublin. You have to come a long way out of the city to get here. But coding itself is a huge uptake here in our school. So every single student does it for at least 10 weeks in 1st year as part of their take program.
Coding has massively impacted what I'd like to do in the future. I remember the first time I was like, okay, space is cool, is when I watched a movie. It was called Ayrshire. And I was like, oh, okay, I might want to do something like that in my future. So when I came to secondary school, I saw coding as a subject, and I was like, Mom, I've got into coding.
I think we started on AstroPi 3 years ago. There's a bunch of students, I suppose, who are always kind of vaguely into space. They don't really know how to get into something real. And the prospect of actually running an experiment on the International Space Station was pretty mind-blowing.
This is your opportunity to get photos from space. And we were like,
I take coding as a subject in school, and I have coding twice a week.
and we would come in and wait for her, and we'd say, Kanya, you ready to go? And Mr. Murray just said, guys, do you guys want to enter into this? And we were like, yeah.
When I heard it in the tester, I was sitting next to my best friend, and when she said, you can join us and take satellite images from the International Space Station, I have this like memory. We both look at each other and we're like like in the middle of the tester, and then we just like remember what we're doing.
Because the real prize is the photos, you know?
Is the sound okay for everyone there? Did it just go?
No, I don't have sound either.
Yeah.
I don't sound.
Right, there we go. Should you? Sir, did you put yourself on mute again?
I didn't, but I think someone else had actually muted on the outside. Apologies. Sorry. Can everyone hear the sound again?
Yeah. Better.
There we go.
We didn't realize it was going to happen. They didn't tell us you're going to get to watch a rocket launch.
Yeah, so I bought the hoodie. This is the Alpha mission where the Razzie Pi is launched into space.
I think AstroPi was kind of the first real step in my coding experience. I'd done Scratch before and it was lots of fun, but it was just like a side thing. When I'm older, I think it would be really cool if I could use my coding skills in whatever I plan to do. So like making websites and such. So if I could learn to do that now, that would be awesome.
Well, Mr. Murray is a force of nature. Like, I mean, he's the reason we have coding here. He's the reason we have computer science here. He models the kind of the behavior that you need in students. Like, they're just infinitely enthusiastic about what he's doing. He invented our tech team. So our own students actually go class to class preparing tech issues. The whole school now, and it's invested in the whole school. Like, the idea that students can look after this kind of technology themselves.
Even when like our Wi-Fi was kind of really patchy in the school, my computer science kids got the Razzie Pis and they went around and they wrote a program to test the Wi-Fi every 40 minutes and then delivered a report on a website, do you know what I mean? So they went like 5 rooms at a time and then came back with a report, because like the Wi-Fi had no idea, you know, but this was like a real life problem that they were going to solve.
I know nothing about coding, but next to nothing. And once I started doing it, I learned more, and I became more interested in coding as a subject, which I didn't even realize I had much of an interest in. So definitely just go for it. If it's something that has snagged your attention, do it. Something we have coded ourselves is going to space.
I'll make sure we go by that now. Okay, so thank you very much for watching the video. I just wanted to give the girls a little bit of context before they start talking. And look, they are incredibly enthusiastic. So I want to get off screen and let them have their time as quickly as possible. So thank you for paying attention to me. And I'll share any links if anyone has any other questions at any stage. You can always contact us. Right. Over to Alison and Leah. Now you're muted, girls. Alison, you're still on mute there.
Are we on sound now?
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. Right.
Hello, my name's Alison.
And my name's Leah.
And we are third year students in this school, and I think our first big coding thing we did was all the way back in first year.
Yeah. So I do coding as a subject, which I never knew actually I was a thing in secondary school. So when I first went in, I had my tester and I absolutely loved it. So it was so good, cool. So then the first project we fully did as a thing was
that was AstroPi.
AstroPi.
I'm not very much of a coding person. I like art and real life, or at least that's what I thought coming into secondary school. The options here were incredible though. The first coding project we got into was AstroPi, and that's the video that you just saw. And that was a competition that said, if you've got a good enough idea, you can code your own Raspberry Pi, and you can send it up into space on the space station, and it'll take pictures for you, and you'll get your own original space data to work for your own project. And this was a competition open to the whole school, no matter if you did coding, if you knew what a keyboard was, you could enter this competition. You were in with a chance of getting raw data from space. So that was our first big achievement. Actually winning that and getting the chance to have our own raw data from space.
Yeah, I think after that, I think we just built it, like that was our first step to competitions and stuff. From there,
it gave us confidence.
Yeah, it gave us confidence.
Once we were there, we were like, you know, oh, this was easier than we thought to actually do this. So we should just keep going because we're kind of on a roll now. So we entered SciFest and PD Expo, and this was in first year. And so we won projects in both. We won some overall prizes in a couple of categories. And then in second year, we had the opportunity to enter BT Young Scientist, which is a huge all-Ireland competition. I'm sure you heard loads about it. And we got the chance to elaborate on our AstroPi project into BT. So what we did was our projects, we had two different projects. Mine I did with my partner, and we did using machine learning for the classification of biomes on Earth and on other terrestrial bodies. So once we had these photos from space, we used them to test our machine learning algorithm. I'm not sure if you're familiar with machine learning. It's kind of a convoluted branch of coding that we got into from with help from our coding teacher, Mr. Murray.
Who was
a huge help to us. Huge. And he didn't just help us, he like guided us. He found us loads of really good YouTube videos.
And resources.
We went on calls with what's his name? Kenny Rob. I can't remember his name, but it was a professor who was a friend of his, and we went on call with him and got to learn loads about machine learning, just to help us understand it a bit more, because it's it's a huge concept. It's basically, it's a branch of AI, and it's like a tool that you can write a code for, and once the code is written, it can learn based off the code. So it can say, once you feed it like lots of data, and you tell it, well, these pictures are of a cat and these pictures of a dog, it will learn the difference between a cat and a dog over time. And obviously, the more data it has, the better and more accurate it'll be. So that was our second year project. Did you continue? What was your one then?
So my first project in Raspberry Pi, my partner who did it, I did it with, continued that on into BT. I did a different category, but she went on and then she ended up winning overall in her category, which was amazing because that was such a big achievement because we were only second years. So we were, I don't know, amazed that they even got that far.
So yours was on UV rays and cloud cover.
I think it how it affects
skin cancer.
So she just elaborated onto our Raspberry Pi project, which was like from first year. So it was,
and it all stemmed because we had this opportunity to actually enter into a space competition.
So it all started from a little thing to this massive big achievement, which was so good for our school.
I remember because it looked so simple. It was just an announcement posted on our Schoology page, and they said, you know, if you're interested in space, if you think coding is kind of cool, you can enter this competition and you'll get your own photos from space. And that's kind of how it kick-started. We were like, yeah, okay, let's do that. So that's brilliant.
And
so BT PE Expo, SciFest, AstroPie. Yeah, I mean, we've done loads of stuff actually. And
I did BT this year, but I don't.
I didn't enter BT this year
No.
because it's junior cert year.
Yeah.
Have to focus on the studies. But right, so we have a couple pages of notes. Let us have a little look. We talked about how we got into coding and all.
How is it good for us now, I suppose?
Yeah,
I mean,
will we wrap it up by saying, you know,
yeah,
how it's good because these opportunities allowed us to learn skills of like how to deal with coding problems and technological problems, because no matter what you do, there's always going to be a problem. We thought we had everything perfect and ready to go, and we were heading into BT Young Scientists. We were confident. We were like, we're going to crush this. We have everything we need. And then we realized, oh, we don't actually have this cable. The monitor isn't working. How are we going to show our work? So once we realized that, then we were like, you know what? We know our project's off by heart. We trust in ourselves, and we decided we'd just explain to the judges what happened on the day. And we said, you can come back tomorrow. We'll have the monitor working then, we promise. And we just kept going. Kind of gave us confidence to just problem solving and realizing, you know, it's not the end of the world if you can't do something, because there's always going to be a way around it. So yeah,
and it definitely helped us for the future as well, because like jobs are now all, you know, online and everything, and people working from home or in the office. It doesn't really matter because they all use computers and everything. So it definitely sets us up for like the future and work and everything as well. So it's great opportunities.
Because jobs in the future, they're always going to value coding skills, computer skills, communication skills.
That's what everyone's looking for nowadays.
Yeah, and these are skills that were taught to us because of the opportunities that were offered.
Yeah.
Yep. Is that good, sir? Would you like us to continue?
I think it'd be wonderful to hand over to our friends from Scotland. Well done.
Thank you, guys.
That's fantastic, Alison and Leah. That's a wonderful presentation. Darren, hearing the projects and understanding as well a bit about your school and why you're on this journey and the ambition that your school has. You clearly have really remarkable pupils in the school. You've incredible leadership. I think you have the whole package, and I've no doubt, you know, the school is going to go from strength to strength. Leah and Alison, I am going to hand over to our colleagues in Scotland, but I would just like to mention that one of the past pupils from the school is here with us on the call, Donal Harford. Now, it might have been a small juncture, I think, Donal, that you were at the school, but Donal is the sales manager for AMD in EMEA, and he also attended the school, so you're 100% right. Solving real world problems and the careers that can take you into in the future. And I think Donal is an example of the types of careers, you know, that can take you forward. So I hope you don't mind me giving you a shout out, Donal. It's really good to have you here. And I'm sure Darren would love to know that you were a past pupil as well.
Yeah, I know you put me on the spot there, but thanks very much. No, look, thanks for having me, by the way. But yeah, no, I'm from Russia originally, although I've been out of there maybe 20 plus years. Yeah, my family is still based there, so I know you guys well, and delighted to hear the story.
You're welcome to visit any careers week you want.
I'd love to. I'd love to. It's great to hear the students speak. Right, you know, they talked about machine learning, and basically we build those devices that help you guys do that machine learning. Right, so you guys do all the clever stuff. We just try and build the tools that let you do that. So it's amazing to hear what you're doing. Well done, and well done on BT Young Scientists as well. Huge achievement.
Yeah, super. So I'm going to hand right over now to Mrs. May, to Lucy, Flynn, Jude, and Luca, who a group of P7 students. So at the end of primary school, as I mentioned. So I'm going to hand over to you, Mrs. May. I know that your pupils have a lot to give us today, so hand it over to you. You're just on mute.
Oh, they can't see it.
There we go.
That's perfect. We can hear you now.
Just putting the slide. Everybody see that? Is it taking me a while to load? Does everybody be able to see that?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I felt it was really important to show you a picture of the inside of our school. So we are St Patrick's Primary. We are from the seaside town, if you like, of Troon in Scotland in South Ayrshire. We are different to many schools across the country in that we have no walls between any of our classrooms. We are a fully open plan school, and you can see from primary 1 right through to primary 7 in our school, which has some great benefits. We are the denominational school for our town. We are in an area of affluence. However, we do have pockets of low SIMD as well within that. And we are not a one-to-one device school. However, we do have laptops which are transportable across all classes. So if I move on. So I joined the school in 2016. And I have to say I knew it was the right school for me because one of the questions in my interview was, what value do you place on ICT within the curriculum? So for me, I knew then instantly that they had, or they hoped to build a positive impact with and embed ICT throughout the curriculum. So I myself have a keen interest in IT and its uses through education, but also further afield in our everyday life. I am an MIE expert, so like to keep abreast of changing platforms and how we can really use them to benefit all our young people. I promote digital learning through the school through modelling lessons. If you are ever looking for me, you'll find me probably with a microbit and some sort of coding going on. And it's really important to me that the children can see that it's not just me that has the answers, they also have the answers too. From that, I've also redeveloped the interdisciplinary learning planners that we have, and I've embedded digital learning through them all. It's really important to me that it's not a standalone subject, and it's really important that the teachers and our young people see that also. But I think that's enough from me waffling. So I'm going to pass over to Jude, who's going to talk about our pupil voice.
So we are a rights respecting gold school, which we are quite proud of. Every pupil's voice and opinion matters to us as a school, so that what they want to do is valued. Every pupil gets to choose, or gets the opportunity to choose which pupil voice group they go into for the year. Here's why digital is important to us.
So I have dyslexia, and using a laptop really helps me because if the photocopier is not working, then I can go on the laptop and change the color of the paper so I can still do my work.
So I like using the internet to help me learn, and websites, kind of like if it's like maths games, we usually go inside a website, or even like if we're writing on something like Teams or that, that's kind of like a digital bit.
So you use Immersive Reader quite a lot, don't you? Yeah, perfect.
A lot of the time I've got quite bad handwriting, so if I need to do my literacy, I'll go on my laptop, I'll log into my Word, and I'll do my work, and I'll do it in Word, which makes it 20 times easier for me. So we've all sort of grown up around technology, and it helps us like develop our skills for like what life's going to be like when we go into the real life of working and stuff. So yeah.
Perfect. So Flynn is going to talk to you a wee bit about our background starting from lockdown.
So I just started before lockdown happened, and I did realise that we started to, right after lockdown, the first lockdown, we started to use technology a lot more. So it forced to change. It forced us to change how we learn, and so it was quite hard. It was quite weird not using any technology, and then right after first lockdown, instantly going, you're gonna have to learn to use this. But once we learned to adapt, it was so much easier. During the second lockdown, just before the second lockdown, they would teach us how to use Teams, how to use Word, so we know how to use our work. So we were prepared for the second one because we knew it was coming. Every class had a live lesson during the second lockdown, so we could communicate with the teacher if we had any problems with our work. Assignments we got sent what we were to do during lockdown through Teams. It forced our staff to embrace technology, which CLPL was needed. And during the second lockdown, because we've been taught to use Teams, there was a 98% engagement in home learning.
All right. So the return to school, Lynsey?
Keep the interest levels, so everyone still enjoys it. And we invited Mrs. Pickard to come and work with our school. What is that one say again?
Digidabble. We then had a Digidabble. Do you want to explain what the Digidabble was? So the Digidabble was bringing in our ICT lending library from the central team, which Amanda coordinates. And it was just allowing parents, children, staff to play. So we had the Marty robots, we had the Spheros, we had Microbits, we had Indies, Blue Bots. We had them all, just allowing them to be creative and see what they could do and what the
children were using to
learn.
And also
Go along.
She's like sometimes we'll have a live lesson on Microbits.
The Microbits?
Sometimes we get on Teams and we've got a live lesson on Microbits, so we'll code along to that. So that's what we mean by code alongs.
We've also had remote lessons.
With Mrs. Pickard.
Can you remember what she taught us to do? PowerPoint? Online, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Sway.
That's right.
And OneNote as a literacy jotter, in case you can't find it, you go on a laptop and use OneNote
on Teams.
All right. Look up.
Educating everyone on the positives, but also the negatives of AI. We held an ceremony focusing on deepfake and reliable sources. What's with that?
Okay.
Then we obviously usually last week we met with Mrs. Pickard to evaluate what we need to do for our digital award. So like swaying that we have to
start building the evidence. Yeah.
And then we part of the creative coding pilot.
So we're quite excited for that, aren't we?
Yeah, because we want to be one of the first schools to get it.
Not that we're competitive at all.
No. Not no.
And then just as a lastly, on this Twitter post, you'll see that we've got lots of children taking the responsibility for their own learning. This child, a coding genius, and actually would teach children far more than I could. So why would I create a coding club when he's best placed to have that coding club and run that club? So we have a primary 4 running a coding lunchtime club, which is going very well. We also take part in a variety of competitions to promote computational thinking. This is one of said competitions that we entered. This was due to the Ayrshire last September. South Ayrshire ran a competition across all schools, which was fantastic and really built on enthusiasm across the authority. We try to embed technology in all our lessons where possible. We have children using PowerPoint. We have digital tools. The one at the bottom with the Christmas tree, that was using Scratch. We created our Christmas trees and we decorated our Christmas trees using a variety of baubles. And then we have Mrs. Pickard there here showing us our digidabbles. One of the things that we are keen to use is our microbits. So one of the things that we've done is we've created temperature gauges, and to test those temperature gauges, because the pupils were not convinced that they were working, we took it to the local ice cream factory and we put them in the blast chiller. And they then soon realised that yes, those microbits were 110% accurate. So we've also created our microbit Christmas holiday countdown for each class. Each class had a holiday countdown microbit in their classroom and one at the main office open area as well. That was always a nice thing to come in to every morning, watching that countdown timer go down every morning. But yeah, so for us, it's not about a standalone. For us, it should be embedded through everything we do. It's not standalone in the world we live in today. So it's about children being able to access technology when they know it would make a difference in their learning or their life. That's us.
Thank you so much, Mrs. May, and thank you, Lucy, Flynn, Jude and Luca. That was a fantastic presentation. It's as one of the participants said, you have excellent presentation skills, really interesting story, such an interesting school and an interesting journey that you're on. Even just to know that, you know, from COVID and from, you know, all of the things that, you know, probably came at the school all at once, and to see you today talking as you do about all of the things that the school is doing, the coding clubs, and how much of it is led from the pupils. So the Learner Award will definitely be something that I hope is part of your Digital Schools Award, and that you four and your team of 13 all go forward for that, because you are so well deserving and such great leaders representing your school in this way. And to look at Leah and Alison, who are now in third year, I think there's definitely, you can see the progression and the encouragement that is coming from you, Mrs. May, and from all the teachers in your school. And Darren, equally in your school, you know, when you have wonderful leadership, wonderful teachers, all of the things that can be achieved. But really congratulations to all of you for today's presentations. I know, well, Amanda, you have a question there, and actually I should introduce Amanda Pickard, who you got so many mentions today. You probably feel like you work in the school, but Amanda leads in the local authority in South Ayrshire, huge advocate, a great passion for all things coding, and great that you could join us, Amanda.
Yeah, I just wanted to pop on and say, you know, St Patrick's is an incredible school. It is a brilliant school to go and visit. If I'm ever super busy and I'm very, very stressed, I always like to go and I'll have a wee zip in to visit, because they do all of the things that they were talking about, but so much more. So when I went to speak to the Pupil Voice Group about Digital Skills Award and the Creative Coding Award, you know, it's not just what you see, digital, use of digital and coding everywhere all the time, but it's just they're so confident. The pupils are so confident, so sure of themselves and how they use all the technology in the school that they don't realise how incredible they are. So when I went to speak to them, I was showing them something in the Promethean panel, and we were taking it into the whiteboard. And it was actually, I think it was Flynn who just said, shall I just take a wee screenshot of that? And he just got up, screenshot straight into whiteboard, resized it, and off we go. And that is just how all of the pupils are in the school. They're incredible. It is just a normal, natural thing for them to do, and they're just incredible. If you ever get the chance to go and visit them, go, go, go. They will cheer your day up.
And They also mentioned this Creative Coding Award, and it's something that, again, we are trialling, and we are working with South Ayrshire and North Lancashire, 2 schools in Scotland, or 2 regions in Scotland. So we're working with schools, primary, secondary, and early years to trial out this. So fingers crossed in September, Darren and Leah and Alison, hopefully it will be available in Ireland, and we would love obviously to have your school joining. I think it's really such an interesting part of what's happening in schools that we just want to give a particular focus, and give a particular focus to the pupils who are doing all the work and deserve so much credit. I don't know if there is any other questions. I know there's been a couple of questions in chat, but I think, Darren, you've probably responded online. I know, Darren, you have obviously received the award and you have shared the link with me in the past, but for those who are on today's session, if you did want to share the link to show them how you've actually approached the Digital Schools Award and the things that you're doing and the things that you're working towards. And Mrs. May, I hope that for your school, we will shortly see the application coming in and all of the great work that you're doing. I know you have a lot going on with 2 awards that you're applying for, but I mean, from my point of view, obviously, for Digital Schools Awards, we're very interested to know if you find the process useful, if the pupils to give structure to the work that they're doing, and perhaps, I mean, somebody mentioned in the chat, you know, competitions can be a motivator. Digital Schools Awards is not a competition. It is recognition for each individual school for the work and the effort that they make. So it is obviously great to sort of get feedback in terms of whether this is something that has supported your work, and hopefully given some encouragement to the pupils to have something to look forward to, and for recognition for that effort. So with that, look, I just want to close today's call. In 2 weeks' time, we will have a session on STEAM, and that will be the final session for this year. And again, we will have some mentor schools sharing the work that they're doing all in the areas of STEAM. We may hopefully also have some technology experts on talking about different types of robotics and technology that's available. If you are looking at STEAM in your school, some of the technology may be of interest to you. So hopefully you will be able to join us for that as well. So with that, I'll close today's call just to finally say thank you to all of the presenters. It's been one of the best sessions. We would love to do, I think, more on the student side of things, because there's so much that we are learning. So to all of you, thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening and great work today. And thank you for your time. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again.